Lena was 32 years old, and every flower in her shop felt like a piece of the life she built with her own hands. She owned a small but growing flower business in Austin, something she created from nothing without loans or family support. Growing up, she only had 2 parents and a younger sister named Chloe, who was 14 years younger. That age gap told the whole story of how different their childhoods were. One quiet evening at the shop, Lena told her employee, "When Chloe was born, everything changed. I stopped being the daughter and became the helper." Her employee looked at her with concern. "That sounds rough, Lena." Lena only smiled tightly and said, "You have no idea." When Lena turned 15, her parents sat her down at their old kitchen table. Her mother folded her arms and said, "It's time for you to get a job." Lena remembered staring at her, confused. "A job? For what?" her father answered. "To help with Chloe. Diapers, formula, bills. You're the big sister." From that moment, Lena bagged groceries after school and spent weekends stocking shelves. She handed most of her paycheck to her parents. They never said thank you, never asked how her day was. Her mother would simply take the envelope and say, "This is what family does." Meanwhile, little Chloe grew up like a princess, never cooking, never cleaning, never lifting a finger. The difference stung, but Lena stayed silent. By the time Lena turned 16, she was mowing lawns under the blazing Texas sun to save money for a used laptop she needed for school. She came home with grass stuck to her arms and blisters on her palms. It took her 4 months to save enough. That same year, Chloe received a shiny BMW convertible for her 16th birthday. Lena stood on the driveway as her parents handed Chloe the keys. Chloe squealed, "Oh my God. Thank you, Mom and Dad." Lena whispered to herself, "Must be nice." Her mother didn't even glance at her. It was obvious Chloe was the miracle child and Lena was the worker. Everything became heavier 4 years ago when Lena's father suffered a sudden stroke. One day he was laughing in the living room, and the next he was in a hospital bed unable to move his right side. After months of therapy, he recovered enough to walk but not enough to return to full-time work. The family income collapsed overnight. Lena had just opened her flower shop the year before. Business was slow, but she was determined to help. She said to her parents, "I'll open a joint account. I'll put money in every month for groceries and medical bills." Her father nodded gratefully but didn't say much. Her mother said, "Good. It's the least you can do." Lena accepted it because she wanted to believe she was doing the right thing. For the first year, Lena checked the joint account carefully. The transactions made sense: $150 for groceries, $200 for electricity, $80 for a doctor visit. She felt proud she could help. But then her business grew. She landed a contract with a hotel chain, then a restaurant group. She started working 70-hour weeks and stopped watching the account so closely. She trusted her parents. She thought they wouldn't take advantage of her. That trust began to crack the day she saw Chloe's Instagram pictures: designer clothes, luxury brunches, trips to Miami and Los Angeles. One night, Lena asked her mother, "How is she affording all this?" Her mother replied too quickly, "Her friends treat her." Lena nodded, but something inside her whispered, "That's not true." Lena tried not to overthink it. She was busy running consultations, managing employees, and preparing large orders. But little things kept bothering her. Her mother started calling more often with emergencies. "The roof needs repairs," she'd say one week. "The car broke down," she'd say the next. "Your father has new medical bills," she'd claim a few days later. Lena would ask, "How much do you need?" Her mother always replied, "Just send it, honey. I'll explain later." Lena transferred the money each time, trusting them, believing it was for real needs. She never imagined anything else. But all the while, Chloe kept posting luxury outfits, new shoes, and fancy brunch pictures. Something in Lena's chest began to tighten. Everything collapsed the morning Chloe demanded $5,000 for prom. Lena had just started a major business meeting, one she'd been preparing for months. Her phone buzzed again and again until she finally checked it. The message made her freeze. "I need $5,000 for prom." Lena blinked, thinking it had to be a typo. She texted back, "Do you mean $500? Chloe replied instantly, "No, $5,000. I need a designer dress, a limo, spa treatments, nails, makeup. This is important." Lena stared at her screen in disbelief. She typed slowly, "Get a job and earn it." She silenced her phone and went back to her meeting, but her mind was spinning. When Lena finally returned to her car, she saw 6 new messages, 3 from Chloe, 2 from her mother, 1 from her father. Her mother had texted, "Don't be selfish. You can afford this." Her father wrote, "Pay for your sister's prom. Don't disappoint us." Chloe even left a voicemail saying, "Seriously, Lena, it's just prom. You have a business. You have money. Why can't you help me for once?" Lena sat in her car gripping the steering wheel. "For once," she whispered. "I've helped them for 4 years." Rage built slowly, steady like pressure rising under a lid. She called her mother, needing answers, but the conversation went downhill fast. "Why does she need a $5,000 prom night?" Lena demanded. Her mother sighed loudly. "Because she deserves a special experience. You only graduate once." "I graduated too," Lena shot back. "Did you spend $5,000 on me?" "That was different. We didn't have money then," her mother replied. "You don't have it now," Lena said. "I have the money and I'm not wasting it." "You're ignoring your sister," her mother snapped. "You're supposed to take care of family." "What family?" Lena whispered. Her mother hung up. 5 minutes later, her father sent a final message, an ultimatum. "Either pay the $5,000 or you're no longer part of this family." Lena stared at the text until the words blurred. The next morning at 7 a.m., Lena woke up to a Wells Fargo alert. External transfer request for $5,000 requires approval. Someone had tried to pull the money from the joint account behind her back. Her heart slammed with betrayal. She called her mother immediately. "Did you try to take $5,000 from the account?" Her mother hesitated. "We needed it for bills." "Approve the transfer and we'll explain later." "For bills," Lena repeated flatly. "Or for Chloe's prom?" A long silence followed. "Fine," her mother finally said. "It's for prom. He needs this, Lena. Just approve it." "No," Lena said sharply. "Not anymore." She hung up, got dressed, grabbed her keys and whispered to herself, "I need help." She knew exactly who to call. Lena drove straight to her friend Evan's office. He had been her classmate in college and was now a lawyer she trusted more than anyone. On the phone she told him, "I think my family has been stealing from me." His voice turned serious immediately. "Come to my office. Bring everything. Don't delete anything." 2 hours later, Lena sat in a quiet conference room with stacks of printed bank statements spread across the glossy table. Evan typed quickly on his laptop, scanning each transaction. "Let's start from the beginning," he said calmly. Lena nodded even though her hands were shaking. At first the expenses looked normal: grocery stores, utility bills, simple medical payments. But then Evan paused. "Hold on," he muttered. "What is this?" He pointed to a charge. "Tiffany and Company, $3,200. Lena whispered, "That definitely wasn't me." Evan clicked further. "Nordstrom, $1,800. Another Nordstrom charge, $2,100. Lena felt her throat tighten. Then he found more. A travel agency charge for $4,500 and another for $3,800. "Lena," Evan said slowly, "these are luxury purchases. These are vacations. These are not basic needs." She sat frozen as he continued scanning the long list. After reviewing 4 years of transactions, Evan leaned back in his chair, stunned. "Lena, they spent over $75,000 of your money." Lena blinked hard as if he had spoken in another language. 75, she whispered. Evan nodded. "And almost none of these charges were related to household bills. Look at the dates. Every time Chloe posted new designer outfits on Instagram, the charges match. The travel agency charge? That lines up with her Miami trip." Lena covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. "They lied to me for 4 years, she said." Evan replied gently, "They didn't just lie. They exploited you." Lena felt her anger sharpen into something clear, cold, and steady. "What do I do?" she asked in a hollow voice. Evan tapped the folder. "First, you confront them with the truth. Then you close the account. You're the primary owner, so you have every legal right." Lena nodded. She printed every page, every luxury purchase, every travel fee, every credit card payment they'd secretly used her money to cover. She stacked the evidence neatly. I'm done being quiet, she whispered. Evan walked her to the door and said, Lena, whatever happens next, remember you're not wrong for protecting yourself. She nodded once and left. At 3 p.m., Lena knocked on her parents' front door. Her mother opened it, immediately noticing the thick folder in Lena's arms. What's all that? She asked nervously. We need to talk, Lena said. Inside, her father sat watching TV and Chloe was scrolling on her phone. Lena tossed the folder onto the coffee table. Papers scattered everywhere. Her father snapped, What's this? Lena's voice was steady. 4 years of bank statements. I went through every transaction with a lawyer. Her mother paled instantly. You had no right to look through our purchases, she snapped. Our purchases? Lena repeated. You mean my money? Lena picked up one page and held it out. Tiffany and Company, $3,200. What emergency was that for? Her mother looked away. Lena grabbed another page. Nordstrom, $1,800. Was that for Dad's medical bills? Chloe rolled her eyes. This is so dramatic, she said. It's just money. Lena stared at her sister. Just money? That was 4 years of my life. I worked 70 hours a week. I skipped vacations, wore the same clothes for years, lived in a tiny apartment, and you were using my money to play rich. Chloe shrugged. You can afford it. Her father stood up, pointing at her. We raised you. We fed you. You owe us this. It's the least you can do. Lena felt something inside her snap. Oh, you? I've supported this family for 4 years. I gave up everything to help you, and you turned my help into a requirement. Her mother stepped closer and said sharply, Everything we did was for Chloe. She deserves better than what we could give you. The room fell silent. Lena stared at her mother in disbelief. Better than me, she whispered. Her mother didn't deny it. Chloe crossed her arms. You're overreacting. Prom is important. A car is important. Clothes are important. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Lena exhaled slowly. Prom is not a life or death situation. And stealing $75,000 is not nothing. Her father snapped, Stop being dramatic. Lena picked up her bag. I'm done. I'm not giving you another dollar. Not for prom. Not for college. Not for anything. Her mother's voice rose. If you walk out that door, don't come back. Lena met her eyes and said softly, I stopped being part of this family the moment you chose money over me. Lena walked out while all three shouted after her, Selfish. Ungrateful. Traitor. He kept walking. She got into her car, closed the door, and let the silence sink in. He felt shaky but certain. Once home, she called the bank. I want to close a joint account, she said. After verifying her information, the bank froze her parents' access immediately. The remaining balance was transferred back to her personal account. That night, Lena sent a single message to the family group chat. The joint account is closed. Do not contact me again. She blocked every number. Her hands trembled, but her heart felt strangely light. The next afternoon, Lena was arranging roses in her shop when loud banging erupted on the front door. He peeked through the window. Her parents were standing outside, angry, red-faced, shouting. She didn't open the door. Instead, she turned up the music and kept working. She could hear her father yelling her name through the glass, but she ignored it. They stayed for almost 20 minutes before finally leaving. Later that evening, relatives began calling. Aunt Carol was first. Lena, your mother said you abandoned the family. How could you? Lena calmly replied, They stole $75,000 from me. I'm done. Silence. Then Aunt Carol said quietly, I didn't know. How you do, Lena said. Please don't call me about this again. The calls kept coming for days. Uncle Mike, then Aunt Diane, then Cousin Rachel. Lena answered each one with the same calm voice. They spent my money. They lied for 4 years. I'm done. Some relatives apologized. Others refused to believe her. Your mother would never do that, Aunt Diane insisted. Lena simply said, check the dates. Check Chloe's Instagram. One by one the calls stopped. She changed her locks, installed a camera at the shop, and finally slept through the night for the first time in years. The silence that followed didn't scare her. It felt like peace. For the next 3 months, Lena heard nothing from her parents. She poured herself into her flower shop. Without the constant drain, she finally had the money to invest in better equipment and new staff. She hired 2 more employees, bought a new delivery van, and expanded her inventory. Her profits rose sharply. One morning, while watering orchids, she whispered to herself, "This is what life looks like when no one is draining you." She didn't miss the arguments. She didn't miss the guilt. She didn't miss pretending her family cared. She felt lighter, free. Then her cousin Mason called. He was one of the few who believed her from the start. "Lena," he said gently, "I thought you should know, your parents lost the house." Lena froze. "What do you mean lost?" "They defaulted on the mortgage. The bank foreclosed." She didn't speak. "And your dad filed for bankruptcy," Mason added quietly. Lena leaned back in her desk chair, processing the news. She didn't feel joy. She didn't feel sadness. She felt nothing. Mason continued, "Chloe got a job at Target. She's working part-time." Lena nodded. "Good. Work will teach her what money actually is." Months passed. Lena's business doubled. She moved into a bigger shop with more storage, better lighting, and a proper office. That was when she met Daniel, the owner of a coffee shop down the street. He came in to buy flowers for his sister's birthday. He smiled shyly and said, "I have no idea what I'm doing. Please save me." Lena laughed for the first time in a long time. Daniel started stopping by often, sometimes to buy flowers, sometimes just to talk. Eventually he asked her out. Their first date was quiet and warm. Nothing dramatic, nothing draining. Lena told her friend later, "Being with him feels easy." As months turned into a year, Lena slowly built a new life. She had friends, real friends, other small business owners who understood long hours, stress, and dreams. Every Friday night they'd meet for drinks and swap stories. Lena started to feel like she belonged somewhere. One night over dinner, she decided to tell Daniel the whole truth about her family. She expected him to judge her, maybe even pull away. But he just listened quietly, holding her hand. When she finished, he said softly, "You didn't abandon them, Lena. They abandoned you a long time ago." Lena felt something ease inside her. She occasionally wondered what Chloe was doing. She imagined her scanning items at Target, annoyed at customers, irritated by long hours. Maybe she'd finally learned the difference between need and entitlement. Or maybe she hadn't. Either way, Lena reminded herself, "She's not my responsibility." As for her parents, she assumed they were still living in their small apartment, juggling bills and debts. Whenever guilt tried to creep in, she remembered the $75,000. She remembered every lie, every manipulation, every time they made her feel that giving wasn't enough. And the guilt faded every time. People often asked Lena if she regretted cutting them off. "But they're your family," some would say. Lena always replied, "Family doesn't hurt you on purpose. Family doesn't steal from you. Family doesn't threaten to disown you over a prom dress." She didn't miss the chaos. She didn't miss the demands. What she lost wasn't a family. It was a burden disguised as love. What she gained was peace. Real peace. Every morning she woke up, brewed coffee, opened her shop, and felt grateful she chose herself. 2 years after the separation, Lena bought a house of her own. 3 bedrooms, a big backyard, a garage for her delivery van. When she stood in the empty living room, she whispered, "I did this." Daniel helped her move in boxes. As they unpacked dishes, he asked gently, "Are you going to tell them?" "No," Lena answered. "They haven't earned the right to know anything about my life." Daniel nodded and kissed her forehead. That night, Lena sat in her backyard surrounded by fresh flowers she planted herself. She breathed in the quiet. "This is mine," she whispered. "All mine." Sometimes late at night she wondered if Chloe had changed. If she finally understood that the life she flaunted online was built on someone else's sacrifice. Lena imagined her standing behind a cash register, exhausted, irritated, maybe confused by her new reality. But Lena also knew the truth. Growth doesn't happen through comfort. And Chloe had lived in comfort for 18 straight years. Maybe this experience would reshape her. Maybe not. Either way, Lena told herself firmly, her choices are not my burden. 3 years after cutting ties, Lena attended a business conference in Dallas. She was a guest speaker, sharing her journey of growth as a small business owner. After the panel, she spotted someone in the crowd, Aunt Carol. Her aunt looked older, tired. "Lena," she said softly, "I didn't expect to see you here." I'm speaking today, Lena replied. Aunt Carol nodded. Your mother talks about you sometimes. Does she? Lena asked flatly. She says you're doing well. I told her she was wrong in how she treated you. Lena appreciated the honesty but felt no tug of emotion. Thank you, she said. But nothing changes. That night in her hotel room, Lena called Daniel. Guess who I ran into, she said. When she explained, he asked gently, How do you feel? Nothing, she replied. I felt absolutely nothing. She realized then that she had fully healed. The wounds had closed, the anger had burned out, and the guilt had evaporated. She looked out over the Dallas skyline and whispered, I finally saved myself. And the truth settled in her chest like a warm, steady light. She didn't miss her family. She missed who she hoped they could have been. When Lena returned to Austin, her life unfolded smoothly. Her shops were thriving, her employees were loyal, and her future looked bright. Daniel's coffee shop expanded too, and they began talking about opening a joint event space, flowers and coffee under one roof. One afternoon, as she arranged a bouquet of sunflowers, a customer asked, What's your secret to success? Lena smiled. Protecting my peace, she said. Is that really it? The woman asked. Yes. You can't grow anything, not a business, not a life, if people are draining you. The customer nodded slowly as if hearing those words for the first time. Months later, Lena got an unexpected email from her mother. The subject line read, We're sorry. Lena didn't open it. She stared at it for a moment, then clicked delete. Daniel watched her and asked, You okay? Lena nodded. I don't need an apology wrapped in convenience. They're only sorry because life got hard. Daniel squeezed her hand gently. You deserve better than people who only come around when they need something. Lena leaned against his shoulder and whispered, I know. And I finally believe it. The years that followed were Lena's best. She married Daniel in a small ceremony surrounded by friends, the family she chose. She expanded her business to 3 locations. She bought another house bigger than the first. Her life was calm, joyful, and peaceful. On quiet nights, she sat in her garden, surrounded by rows of flowers she planted herself. She remembered her past only to appreciate how far she'd come. All that pain, she whispered one night, was the push I needed to build something better. Lena never reconnected with her parents or Chloe. She didn't hate them, she simply accepted that love without respect is not love at all. She chose herself and built a life she was proud of. One evening, as she watched the sun set over her garden, Daniel sat beside her and said, Do you ever regret it? Lena shook her head. No. I saved myself. And saving yourself is never the wrong choice. In that quiet moment, surrounded by the flowers she once dreamed of growing, Lena finally felt free, completely, peacefully free. Moral lesson. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it's necessary. Never let guilt or family pressure drain your life, your work, or your worth. Sometimes walking away isn't abandoning family, it's saving yourself. Thanks you for watching, and please remember to tell us where you are watching from today. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more of this.